So now we are continuing with from where we had left earlier, that is the effective span of the simply supported beam. Now looking at the second part of the clause, the part B in that talks for the effective span of continuous beam or slab. Now over here in the effective spans of continuous beams or slabs, there are different conditions. One of the conditions in this is, now look at the continuous beam. Now there's a continuous beam over here which is a bridge deck. Now continuous beam is having lots of supports, more than 2 supports. Whenever there are more than 2 supports and the beam is monolithically constructed, it is called as a continuous beam. So let us look at the clause now. The clause says, in the case of continuous beam or slab, if the width of the support, please note, if the width of the support is less than 1/12 of the clear span, then the effective span shall be as in 22.2. That means if the width of the support, that is the support thickness, the support width over here is less than 1/12 of the clear span, then the effective span shall be same as the simply supported beam. How it is done, how it is calculated for the simply supported beam, exactly the same way it will be calculated over here if the support thickness or the support width is less than 1/12 of the clear span. Now let us look at an example in this case. Now there is a continuous beam given, a RCC continuous beam 230 by 450 mm, that is the cross section, overall dimensions are 230 and 450, is supported on 200 by 200 mm columns. All the columns have the same dimension, 200 by 200. The clear span of the beams is 4.5 meters. All the beams have the same clear span. The beam is reinforced with 2 bars of 20 mm diameter. The clear cover of the beam is 40 mm. The clear cover provided to the reinforcement in the beam is 40 mm. Find the effective span of the beam. What would be the effective span of the beam? So the beam has been given over here. The pictorial view is very clear. The clear span is given over here as 4500. When we look at the cross section, the tension steel is down with clear cover as 40 mm. Overall depth as 450, the width as 230 mm. Let us solve this. Now when we solve this, let us write the data given. Given is length as 4.5 meters. Since we are converting everything to mm, it becomes 4500 mm. The width is 230 mm. Depth, the overall depth is 450 mm. AST, area of steel in tension, is 2 bars of 20 mm diameter. The clear cover to the reinforcement is 40 mm. Now clear span by 12 as per the clause, clear span upon 12 we are needed to take, so it becomes 4500 divided by 12. Now this comes to, clear span upon 12 comes to 375 mm, which is greater than the width of the support, which is 200 mm. So now over here we are having the clear span upon 12 is greater than the width of the support. That means we are referring back to the simply supported case and we are calculating the effective span as in simply supported case. So effective span is L plus effective depth, clear span plus effective depth, or center to center of supports, whichever is less, as in the case of simply supported beam. It is clear span plus effective depth or the distance which is center to center distance between the supports, whichever is less. Now let us look at condition 1. Condition 1, L plus D. L is given to us, the clear span is given to us as 4500 mm. D is to be calculated, the effective depth is to be calculated. So I look at the other calculations. We know that effective depth is calculated as overall depth minus the effective cover. Please note, clear cover has been given to us and clear cover has been given as 40 mm, but what we need over here is the effective cover. So effective depth is equal to overall depth, that is 450 mm, minus, now effective cover is calculated as clear cover plus the distance from the clear cover to the centroid of the reinforcement. That is, since it is one layer of 12 mm bars, sorry 20 mm bars, it is half of 20. So 450 minus into bracket 40 plus 10. So this becomes 50. So effective depth becomes 400 mm. So that has been replaced over here. So L becomes 4500 plus 400. So L becomes 4900 mm. So from the condition 1, clear span plus effective depth, we have got it as 4900 mm. Now condition 2, this is the condition 2, center to center distance between the supports, left support divided by 2 plus clear span plus right support divided by 2. So left support is 200 divided by 2 plus 4500 plus 200 divided by 2. So this comes to 4700. Now over here what we have is one condition gives me 4700, the other condition gives me 4900. We find that 4700 is less than 4900, so the effective span is 4700 mm. Effective span of the beam is 4.7 meters. So that's the way we calculate. If the clear span upon 12 is greater than the width of the support, we refer back to how we calculate for the simply supported beam. Now coming to the further parts, that was about the continuous one. In the continuous one, what if the supports are wider than 1/12 of the clear span? Over here the clause C in this case tells us if the supports are wider than 1/12 of the clear span or 600 mm, whichever is less, the effective span shall be calculated as under. So this means it is any other case other than the previous one. In this case it says for end span with one end fixed and other continuous, or for any other in between spans, all the spans which are in between, or if the end span has the last end fixed. In that case, what does it say? The effective span shall be the clear span between the supports. It is very clear, for end span with the end point as fixed or any other intermediate spans, any spans in between, the effective span shall be the clear span between the supports. Clear span. No other calculation is involved, only the clear span. So therefore for the end span with one end fixed or any other intermediate spans, we can directly write effective span L is equal to capital L, the clear span. There is another condition. Now this condition is where the last end span does not have the last end fixed but the last end hinged, or it is free on the support. So for end span with one end free and the other continuous is on the continuous side, the effective span shall be equal to clear span plus half the effective depth of the beam or the slab. So it is clear span plus half the effective depth of the beam or the slab, or clear span plus half the width of the discontinuous support, the support which is not continuing, out of these whichever is less. So for the end span with one end free and the other side continuous, it is either the clear span plus half the effective depth or clear span plus half the width of the discontinuous support, whichever is less. So this is for the last span only. Now look at the other conditions. In the case of spans with roller or rocket bearings, now where do we find roller and rocket bearings? Normally roller and rocket bearings are provided for bridge decks, simply supported bridge decks, where the span is simply supported. They have this roller and rocket bearings. In that case the effective span shall always be the distance between such bearings, the bearings which are provided, distance between such bearings. Directly the distance, center to center distance between such bearings have to be taken as the effective span. Coming to the cantilever, now this is very important. A cantilever, like we have cantilever chajja, we have balconies, we have cantilever porch. Okay, so cantilever is very important. The effective length of a cantilever shall be taken as its length to the face of the support, that means its clear span, plus half the effective depth, clear span plus half the effective depth, except where it forms the end of a continuous beam, which means it talks of a overhang continuous beam where the length to the center of the support shall be taken. In case of a overhang, length to the center of the support will be taken. So generally effective span of a cantilever is clear span plus half the effective depth. But in case of a overhang, that is a continuous beam overhang, effective span is length, that is a clear span, plus the support width divided by 2. In case of frames, these are all fixed. All frames are fixed members. We can consider them to be fixed in the analysis of continuous frame. Center to center distance shall be used. Therefore effective span L is center to center distance between the supports. It is very clear, no effective depth, nothing. It is only center to center distance between the supports. Now whenever we are calculating or designing any member, at that time this effective spans we will have to use. Let us take another example. One example for a cantilever beam. A reinforced concrete cantilever beam, 250 mm wide, 400 mm depth, overall depth, is supported on 250 by 250 column. At the fixed end. At the fixed end, it is supported by a column which is 250 mm by 250 mm. The clear span of the beam is 2.5 meters. The clear span has been given. The beam is reinforced with 2 bars of 12 mm diameter. The clear cover of the beam is 30 mm. Find the effective span of the beam. So the parameters have been given. We are supposed to find the effective span for the beam. Now this is a cantilever beam. So let us look at the data given. The data given is span is 2.5 meters. That is 2500 mm. Width is 250 mm. Depth is 400 mm. The steel 2 bars of 12 mm. Clear cover has been given to be 30 mm. And what type of beam? We have a cantilever beam over here. Now therefore for a cantilever beam, effective span L is clear span plus half the effective depth. Please note it's a cantilever beam with one side as column. So it is effective span is capital L, that is clear span, plus half the effective depth. Now so L is equal to 2500. Capital L is already known as, is given over here as 2500. Now small d has to be calculated. Small d is capital D minus d dash. Capital D is the overall depth. D dash is the effective cover. Cover has been given to us as 30 mm. So let us calculate this. Small d is equal to capital D. The overall depth is given to be 400 mm minus, now effective cover is the clear cover plus half the reinforcement diameter. So it is 30 plus, that is clear cover, plus the bar diameter divided by 2. So we have D is equal to 400 minus 30 plus 6. So we have 400 minus 36, which is coming to 364. So effective depth is 364 mm. We are substituting it in this, so that becomes 364 divided by 2. So L is equal to 2500 plus 364 divided by 2 comes to 182. So we get the effective span as 2682 mm. So effective span of the beam is 2.682 meters. So that's how we do the calculation. Now let us have a pictorial view of this beam. So that's the beam which was given to us. Please note one thing, since it is a cantilever beam, the steel is shown over here on top because top portion goes in tension, bottom there is compression. The steel has to be provided at the top. So the steel is provided at the top over here. Clear cover is 30. So finally we got the effective cover, that is the distance from the topmost fiber to the center over here as 36. Width is given to 50. Overall depth is 400. And now note over here, the effective depth is measured from the bottom to the reinforcement. From the bottom over here to the middle of the reinforcement, that is 364. Why from the bottom? Because this cantilever beam has compression at the bottom and tension on the top. Please note, simply supported beams have tension at the bottom, compression at the top. So over here it is exactly opposite and the things have been marked. Please note, the clear span is from here, from the face to the last point, the freestanding point, but the effective span will be from here inwards, that is 2682. There is a small mistake over here. This has to be shown here in this line. So from here inwards is 2682 mm. That's how we get the length of the cantilever beam. Another example. Now in this case, this is also a particular case of a cantilever beam. Now a RC continuous beam, a reinforced concrete continuous beam, 300 mm width, 550 mm depth, is supported on 300 mm by 300 mm columns and has an overhang 2 meters long. So over here we have a continuous beam and there is an overhang. So this can be also looked upon as a peculiar or a particular case of a cantilever beam. The details given are: the overhang is reinforced with whatever reinforcement has been given. The clear cover is given like in the previous case. Find the effective span of the overhang. Now the span is 2 meters, given the width is 300 mm, the depth is 550 mm. Please note that the meters have been converted to mm. Steel is listed down, clear cover is listed down, and type of the beam is listed down. So we get all the data at a stretch over here. We don't have to look at the problem again and again. Now in a case of overhang, it is said that effective span is the clear span plus half the width of the support, half the support width. So we have clear span, that is 2000 mm, plus the support is 300, so 300 divided by 2, so this we get 2000 plus 150, so we get 2150, or effective span of the beam is 2.15 meters. Please note, in this case there is no calculation of effective depth necessary because it directly relates it with the width of the support. That's how we calculate the effective span whenever there is a overhang which is a cantilever. Now there are other 3 provisions which I need to talk about before embarking on the limit state design. How much should be the minimum steel provided whenever we design a structural member? Suppose I'm designing a beam, how much should be the minimum steel to be provided? Now the clause over here 26.5.1 clearly says that the area of steel upon BD, that is percentage of steel, okay, shall not be less than 0.85 upon Fy. 0.85 divided by Fy. So AS upon BD, area of steel, divided by B is the width, D is the effective depth, shall not be less than 0.85 upon Fy as the minimum area of tension reinforcement. Whenever we design, our design will carry minimum reinforcement as this much. Now the other aspect of it, maximum reinforcement in compression. Now maximum reinforcement in compression, here the maximum area of compression reinforcement shall not exceed 0.04 BD. Please note, it is 0.04 BD. B is the width, D is the overall depth. Now if I look at 0.04, this is nothing but 4 divided by 100. 4 divided by 100, which means 4%. That means 4% of the area, that is the effective, the width multiplied by the overall depth. Width and overall depth, that is the gross area, 4% of the gross area. May I inform you, 4% of the gross area, the amount of steel provided is huge. When we provide this much amount of steel, let me tell you, there is hardly any space for concrete to move in. Whenever we are doing the concreting, it is extremely difficult to do concreting. So the code has restricted the use and it has given up to 4% of the gross area. Preferably, I would suggest one should never touch this. Try to change the cross section or the type of steel or the type of concrete or the design, whatever, and check if this can be reduced, because 4% of the gross area, the steel is huge. It leads to honeycombing because the concrete does not go in, seep in properly. The compaction cannot be done properly, and many a times we find honeycombing in this region. As a result of honeycombing, there is strength loss, less bonding, all different sorts of problems can be envisaged. So as far as possible, never try to touch this maximum limit which has been put by the code of 4% of the gross dimension. Coming to another one, Now there is something called as side face reinforcement. Now there is a clause for side face reinforcement when the depth of the web, the portion of the projection in a beam, the beam has the part which goes in the slab and the other part which projects out from the slab. Now the part which projects out from the slab, if it is 750 or above, when it crosses 750, it says provide side face reinforcement. How much? Now what is this side face reinforcement? It talks about that the total area of side face reinforcement shall not be less than 0.1% of the web area. Whatever is the projecting area, at least equal to 0.1% of this web area shall be distributed equally on both the faces at a spacing not exceeding 300 mm or the web thickness whichever is less. Can you see over here this reinforcement which is running in this direction? This is not design reinforcement which is running in this direction. The top reinforcement in this direction and this direction is the design reinforcement, but at the side we can see at the side the reinforcement which has been tied. Now this reinforcement is the side face reinforcement. Now this side face reinforcement gives additional rigidity to the sides, prevents lateral buckling. So whenever we have the projection, the web projection as 750 or above, we need to provide side face reinforcement which is 0.1% of the projected area, that is the web area, and it has to be equally divided on both the faces at a distance not exceeding 300 mm or whatever is the web thickness. Suppose the web thickness is only 200. In that case the spacing should be maintained as 200 mm itself. So over here we have seen the different provisions, the provisions like what is the nominal cover or the clear cover. We have seen the effective cover, the clear span, effective spans, the different effective spans in the different categories like the simply supported beam, the continuous beam, the different conditions for the continuous beam. Then we have the cantilever, the rocket and roller condition or the frame. So everything we have considered and we have understood this, and finally we have come to how much should be the minimum reinforcement provided and the maximum reinforcement provided in the structural member.